Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Away Games Chicago Cubs podcast. We're talking about the Cubs baseball. My name is Kevin McCaffrey. I'm here via Skype with my friend Adam Mamawala. What's up, Adam?
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. We've been doing this for over a year.
I know. Has it been? I mean, I guess it's episode 53. Unless we snuck some in a weird time thing. I mean, there are 52 weeks in a year, from what I understand. So yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we maybe did like one extra one. We were hoping to do more extra ones during a playoff run that didn't really happen. But
that's true.
From what I recall, we had a few that were like came out before the season began as a lead up.
Yes.
And here we are.
Yeah, I think we did only have basically the one special after the season ended episode, which is weirdly, that was one we did. It was on a phone call, but one of our two most highly rated episodes thus far. That
bodes well for future playoff runs.
Yes.
That happens.
People like being sad. But yeah, a lot of raw emotion in that one. But there actually is baseball going on now again, so that's fun.
Isn't that nice?
It is nice. It is both, it feels both like it's been a while, and it feels like it's been a short amount of time, too. When I mentioned to my wife, Jamie, I said, "Hey, Jamie, baseball's on again." Her response was, "Oh boy." She was not expecting
that sounds
it.
About right.
I mean, she knows when it happens, but it's like, I had not, she was still taken aback by it.
Well, it's a good transition into the season for her as well, to be able to be like, well, Kevin's not going to watch like as much of these as he will a month from now, but still more than anyone should probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, technology has limited us from being able to watch thus far. I think it's just been radio. Have you caught anything?
No, I've watched clips online of like camera phone videos, and then I think there's like a camera from behind home plate, so you feel like you're watching a game from like the first game they had cameras available in the 30s or something.
Right, when they were really just freelancing about where we should stick this.
I saw a very cute video of some I assume adult taking a video of Bryant's first at bat, and you hear some like little squeaky voiced kid going like, "Look, it's Kris Bryant," and then he immediately hits a home run.
Just hits a bomb. That's lovely. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, it was great. And then I saw like a behind home plate view of Contreras hitting that, which sounded pretty nice off the bat. I don't know if you saw or heard that home run, but it was a good one.
Those are the two most significant swings of the season thus far, and nice to see. Willie making strong contact and Kris appearing like everything's fine. I mean, it's one homer and a single so far, but still good.
Yes, and as always, you can find us at Away Games Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and Away Games Gmail at Away Games Podcast at Gmail. It would be weird if it was Away Games Gmail at podcast.com. I don't think
we really fucking swerved on them. Yeah, zagging on everybody.
Away Games Podcast at ballstate.edu.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out my the Cubs other farm system, providing such people as Luke Haggerty, and that's it. To do.
But you were in their like comedy farm system, and you turned out okay.
I really was the beginning of I shouldn't say the beginning. David Letterman came out of there, but then there was a lull after that. Basically, Ball State, that was the college I went to, and I was actually just there last week. Is why I was unavailable to pod while you talked to our lovely friend Tommy McNamara and his great arm sleeve. But, I was back on campus. The Ball State Comedy went Letterman, who graduated in 70, and then we had the Joyce DeWitt, who was the brunette from Three's Company. She was in the mix. And then, basically, I was the next one. And then we got a farm system going. And now we send a bunch of people to Daily Show, SNL, bunch to Letterman, some out in L.A. But, yeah, so we're more of like, we're like an LSU, I think, when it comes to TV comedy college, as LSU is to baseball. But, so...
Hey, Fontenot.
Fontenot, that's true. Yeah,
Fontenot, Ontario.
And Fontenot, Ontario, and Cubs prospect Alex Lang, too, as well, is another one.
He was the exception of LSU's rule about really preferring people with French last names.
Yes, exactly. They
You're going to be in Louisiana.
They got one non-Cajun to get in there. So did you listen to any of the spring training stuff so far on radio or anything?
I have not.
Me neither, which I think is good.
Is it like Casper and Coomer? I think, is that the team for spring training? Because I don't think Pat Hughes is there.
Right. So Casper is doing a bunch of radio. Casper's working a long year, man. That's
I think he just loves it.
Good for him. He should. It seems. I mean, it's nice when you see guys who have jobs and you think, "Oh, that would just be a fun job," and then they seem to get the job and agree. Right. You know. I
imagine he could easily not do spring training if he said, "I don't feel like doing spring training." I would think it's that he wants to do it and misses baseball.
I think so too, and I think it's probably also a thing where he's still in announcer years, very young. You know?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And Pat Hughes sort of has the professor emeritus sort of thing where he did the main intros at the Cubs convention, so he kind of has that alpha status, and he, as the older guy who takes the middle inning off, an old Harry Carey move, probably he's shortening up the season, so that makes sense too. But yeah, I think it's mostly Casper and Coomer in the off season, or in the preseason here in spring training. And I just did my taxes yesterday, and they terrible, right? They came back way better than I was expecting.
Nice.
So as we were leaving the tax place, I said to Jamie, I think I'm going to spring training. And I don't think, turns out I'm not, I don't think.
Oh, shit.
But I did that was my first thought when I had more money. I'm a 36-year-old married man. I'm not rich, but the first thought I had when I had a little more money than I was expecting was like, well, I got to blow this immediately and go to Arizona to see shit that don't mean anything. Let's do that now.
Somehow the context for Jamie saying, oh boy, is making so much more sense.
She said the oh boy before that even. Yes, exactly. But what have been your takeaways from the first couple of days of spring? How are you feeling? What are you looking for?
Well, there've been a few interesting storylines. Obviously, you have the Bryant home run and Contreras home run. I really enjoy hearing Bryant sounding like he has a chip on his shoulder, which I think most competitive player or people and MLB players don't need the extra motivation anyway, but
sure.
If there is some, I'm all for it. And there's also been reports about the Cubs thinking it's very funny that people are suggesting they might finish in fourth or finish last. And sure, they're all intrinsically motivated, but if there's any extra bulletin board material, I don't think it can hurt. What else? I mean, Chatwood pitched and seemed like
pretty much what Chatwood was last year. I mean, it's 2 innings, so
in terms of balls and strikes, it was pretty I think 17 strikes, 14 balls or something like that.
I mean, that is sort of moving in the right direction. He did
more strikes than balls, I guess, is a positive.
We are allowed more balls than strikes per at bat, so that technically is efficient enough when extrapolated over time. But he gave up a bomb, walked a guy, pegged a guy. That would have been, the hit batter would have been ball 4 anyway. 2 innings, but it's 1 game in, so kind of who cares? And the Kris thing, it was weird because I read the Kris Bryant comments first before I saw actual video of it,
right?
And I feel like reading the comments made him seem more fired up than when I saw him. Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, what's the most fired up you've ever heard Kris Bryant? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't really do that.
I think I think we said that that is what it was. But it was interesting that he was right about some of the specifics in terms of what some people were saying on Twitter. So I don't know if I don't even know if Kris Bryant has an official Twitter account. He probably does. That just like
he does not. I don't think. I think he's on Instagram, but I don't think he has a Twitter.
Okay, well,
maybe he's got a burner account like Kevin Durant.
That's what I was gonna say. He and Durant might be splitting a burner, and the
old KD-KB combo.
Kris Bryant actually does have a Twitter, but he just tweeted. The last photo is just it's from November of last year, and it's of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. So yeah, he's not doing a lot of
them or of them.
Of them.
Huh.
He was just at that that one-on-one thing they had. Tiger and Phil.
Oh, yeah.
They had the one-on-one matchup. Dexter Fowler was there. Kris was there. I think just a bunch of players went to check that out. But yeah, so he's not tweeting a lot, but it seems like he's peeping the tweets. So quit being an asshole. At this point on Twitter, you can't saying quit being an asshole to anybody. That's not going to work.
No, I can't imagine. And I mean, I'm a person who it's not like there's that many people tweeting about me at any given time. And if I see like one mean thing in a 6-month period, it bothers me. So I can't imagine being a professional athlete and having people say this guy should be traded and he's garbage and he's, not the player that he was.
I mean, whatever he needs to, to get fired up is great. But I think Kris is a smart enough guy to know that people jumping in and saying trade Kris Bryant, not only are they haters, would we say, but also just blindingly dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just that's not a
trade him for Mike Trout, I guess.
Sure.
But...
Oh yeah, trade him for Mike Trout. You know what? I'll throw in a few pieces if we want to trade him for Mike Trout. But otherwise, I mean, Kris Bryant's ceiling, I really do think is his ceiling is maybe second or third best player in the major leagues if he's healthy and playing well.
Yeah.
I think basically Mookie is right there at 2. And then beyond that, Kris can blow up and blow past almost everybody else, I think.
I think so.
So that's exciting to see. And as you said, it's exciting to see Wilson Contreras making some hard contact early. That's fun. I
did hear that Bodie got beamed. I don't know much about that, but
Bodie beamed by Bumgardner. Well, a dangerously alliterative set of events there, but he got hit in the head. It seems like he's going to be more or less okay. He's coming back to baseball activities tomorrow, from what I understand.
What were you going to say more about Contreras?
Oh, nothing about Contreras specifically, but the other thing I saw today was that Kyle Schwarber, who I don't know whether to feel good or bad about this, but looks like he's fatter again. He looks chunkier, but that kind of, and fatter I'm using loosely. He's a thick boy. He is built, he's just naturally a fire hydrant guy. He got weirdly lean, so he's a little beefier than last year, but he's also going back to a batting stance, or he's at least attempting going back to a batting stance that he used more in college and coming up, where he's lower to the ground, sort of more of a squat. And
what do you think that the reason for that would be?
I think he just feels like he's been tinkering too much over the last couple of years. You see Kris Bryant basically saying nothing's been wrong with my swing. I've been swinging the same way since I was 8. He's just going back to he tinkered with the two-handed follow through last year to.
Yeah, that lasted for all of 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I don't know if it's Iapoce coming back or everyone just sort of thinking, you know what, if we've been tinkering too much, we are good. We know this is a talented bunch. Let's go back to what works. But he came out and basically said, the quote was, "Screw it," I believe.
Kris Bryant?
No, Schwarber.
Oh, Schwarber.
He said, screw it, going back to what he feels most comfortable with. So I think that's cool,
Yeah. Are there any other storylines you're aware of that I'm missing?
Cub-wise, no. Overall, baseball-wise, yes. But besides, as we're recording this right now on Tuesday, it's Yu Darvish Day.
Okay.
So that's exciting. Also, Jason Hayward was scratched for personal reasons today. So some people freaking out about, is it a trade? With I believe it was the worst baseball writer there is, Jon Heyman.
What the fuck is his deal?
He's a piece of shit.
To start at a level that Jon Heyman would think is not enough of a level, but what? I don't understand how he's employed by MLB Network. He
basically among the least bad things he does is he's just constantly throwing out wild guesses as if they're news about Bryce Harper all the time. He mentioned the Cubs and Braves checking back in as dark horses yesterday. So I don't know if that counts as news. Not really, because Jon Heyman said it. But Heyman is also he was the big Josh Hader defender.
Yeah.
Last year, and kept saying, you don't understand how childlike he is with his white power tweets and stuff. You know how kids are always tweeting about white power. And
the same way that Jose Reyes and Addison Russell are childish.
Exactly. And then specifically, he was pitching Jose Reyes for employment this week.
He's also just bad.
Jose Reyes sucks. Jose Reyes sucks and is a piece of shit. And that out of everybody. Also, it's weird that a theoretical reporter is out there pitching specific players for employment like that. It just seems non-journalistic. Not that we're even, journalism's dead, so who cares? But, it's weird anyway. But as you say, Jose Reyes sucks. And he's a piece of shit. He threw a woman into a glass door. That's not the only time he's gotten in trouble. He sucks. He's a piece of shit, and so of course Jon Heyman loves him. Anyway,
but he was the one who was mentioning Hayward as like, oh, he's out today.
No, he was the one who was mentioning the Cubs. The Cubs is checking back in, which get in line behind Charles Meow, my friend. But
seriously,
but Jason Hayward was a late scratch from the Cubs lineup for personal reasons today, and basically everyone's freaking out about is it because of a trade? Since that would be the big chunk of money to move.
I'm done buying into that. But it's fun. I mean, even if he does end up with the Phillies at this point, it's got to be so obvious to them that he didn't want to be there.
Yes. And I don't blame him. And the thing is, he makes sense for every team. Every team can afford him. So, yeah, he should, have more choices than really the one. But, yeah, at this point, if he signs with the Phillies, it'll be hard. It'll just be a weird press conference,
Right.
It'd be hard to sell. Man, I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited that literally no one else would pony up the money that, I guess I'm here now. Yeah.
Have we been blocked by Jon Heyman yet, or are we still?
We've not. We have not. That was the other thing. Jon Heyman, he said he was blocking all name callers in the same tweet chain that he was pitching a known abuser Jose Reyes, also known baseball suckage Jose Reyes for a job. But name calling, that's too much. Unless you're childlike, maybe. I would like to see Josh Hader call Jon Heyman a racial slur of sorts, and then see watching Heyman's little mind spin around on that. Where should I land would be very, very interesting.
I do feel like Heyman has an appropriate last name for how I react to most of his tweets. Like literally every time I'm like, "Hey man, look, I don't think we should be saying that."
Yes, perfect. And the other big national news. Did you see the Colorado news?
You mentioned it before we started recording that Arenado signed an extension, but I don't know the specifics of it.
Nolan Edibimpe, Nolan
Avocado,
yeah, Nuvo Avocado. He signed an extension. It seems all but official. For 8 years, $260 million.
Whew.
So that is. It's a new record for average annual value for a position player at 32.5 per year, 8 for 260. So for anyone still listening, I'm saying that Bryce is going to sign for 10 and 328. That is my prediction. Now that
with who?
I mean, I'm going to stick. You know what?
White Sox.
It's yeah. He's gonna. The Rays are jumping in. I'm gonna say, since everything's just been bullshit this whole time, I'm gonna stick with my original prediction that he is. Or I don't even know if it's quite original, but I think when we were predicting landing spots, I said Dodgers 1, Cubs 2. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say Dodgers still.
They're not gonna give him 10 years.
I don't know, man. I don't know anything. What do you say?
I mean.
You think Philly?
No. Yeah, I feel like Philly because who else is giving him a long-term deal?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you can look around and everyone should. The Cardinals should be in on it for sure.
Yeah.
The Nationals should. I mean, they actually have spent a lot of money and they were over the luxury tax last year, like the champions were. So they can't cry poor, but if anyone could, and if anyone can claim to have really spent the money, it would be Washington thus far. But I think Atlanta would make a ton of sense too. Mm-hmm. Atlanta's so good and so young, very good, very young, and
they're in their window right now. I'm surprised that they're not going after it.
And they're not. They haven't spent a lot of money. They got a new ballpark. I think.
I mean, they got Donaldson on that like huge 1-year deal. But yeah. I think that's really the only thing. Do they who the hell's getting Kimbrel? I haven't even heard a word about him.
I don't know, man. The Red Sox still don't have a. I mean, they're going into the season. Matt Barnes closing, I guess. Which, okay, whatever. And you can stumble into a guy who has 40 saves when you have a lineup like the Red Sox do. But yeah, I don't know. Kimbrel's another guy who just makes sense for basically every team.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. But
I can't imagine they don't have the money, the Red Sox. I mean, winning a World Series makes you a lot of money.
Makes you a lot of money. And they were over the tax last year, so the tax goes up. But I don't even want to get into, it's all such bullshit. These teams can handle it. But they might be trying to get under one of the thresholds, I guess, for that. But,
How much money, I was going to ask, how much money do you think teams make from the playoffs? Like if you have a long playoff run, obviously if you win the World Series from merchandise and everything, it's huge. But like how much does that go up, do you think, the farther you get?
It's a great question, and I have read a breakdown of it, but I forget what it is offhand. I'd just be blind guessing, but but it's significant,
Because I wonder, like if let's say in a world where the Cubs got to the World Series last year and lost, would the fact that they would have gotten there and made it through the playoffs that far made them enough more money that it would have changed the offseason picture at all?
I think
perhaps not, but
I think that's a good question because it's that's it. I think it's certainly millions more,
Right.
So that's
because they must get money from TV stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's it could very well be the difference of a player, or at the very least, an upgraded, a higher end bullpen arm than they've gotten, something like that. So yeah, I don't know, and I do. This is a weird thing to do, but I want to give a shout out to the Sirius XM baseball coverage, the MLB Network Radio. Besides 1 p.m. Eastern, that has Mad Dog on, who sucks. Like everything else is around it is pretty good.
Oh, it's great.
And I've really not listened to them much before, but I'm so over the Baseball Tonight podcast. It's just so, unless they have a guest on, that's good. Which sometimes they have Tim Kirkjian on, who's great. But Buster Olney.
I recall you would listen to that as some sort of way to punish yourself while you were working out.
Yeah, it would be. It has been my workout go-to every day for the last 2 years, and I'm just done. It's so Buster and Josh Macri are, God bless them, completely humorless, and it is painful to listen to. And Buster becomes more of just a crank for owners every day. Just, saying he wrote a big piece about how it was dumb for the Padres to go in on Machado. I completely disagree with. He specifically was talking to Jesse Rogers the other day about how the Cubs are Exhibit A for big free agent contracts not working out, and apparently and Jesse pointed out, you mean like John Lester? You mean like Ben Zobrist? You mean it's so Jesse did a good job covering that. But Buster, man, just he is such a honk for the owners. It is hard to listen to now. So. Shout out to Casey Stern, Ryan Spielborgs. Those guys are great, and I've really been enjoying them lately. So
That's
now,
great. I mean, if only you talk about the Baseball Tonight podcast and how humorless they are. It just makes me think if only there were two comedians who started a baseball podcast.
Hopefully that comes around sometime. You and I could have something to listen to. That'd be fun. Yeah. So I think that's about all I had.
But you know what? It's Tuesday, and 2 days from now, it will be exactly a month until opening day.
That's fun.
Pretty cool.
I like that. As even though this has been the biggest piece of shit offseason I can remember as a Cubs fan, I'm still very excited.
Well, just wait until the Cubs sign Harper and Kimbrel on March 27th.
Hell yeah, baby! We'll throw off our one a week for that for sure. We'll come back and do that. Cool.
Well, if the Cubs sign Bryce Harper, we'll do one podcast for every million that he gets.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll do 300 podcasts with you.
I would absolutely do that. We could do a lot of 1 minute podcasts. Yeah. But yeah, I'm down with that. Release it as a bonus. Maybe start it under a different label so people won't get their feeds jammed. But yeah, that's a challenge.
All right. Well, enjoy continued spring training coverage. I think actually there's a couple games this Saturday and Sunday on MLB Network. I think there's a couple that are going to be televised pretty soon.
I think there are. This is something I really should have looked up. But yeah, I think this weekend we start being able to actually see things.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. Originally, the second half of this episode was going to be an interview with author Doug Wilson, who wrote a book on Ernie Banks that's out now. It's called Let's Play 2, The Life and Times of, you guessed it, Ernie Banks. But it was a really fun interview. We talked for a while, and so we thought it would be fun to do as its own separate episode. So that's going to drop as kind of a bonus Away Games later this week. We're probably going to drop that on Friday, but if you're subscribed like you should be, it'll pop in there automatically. And thanks for listening, everybody. At Away Games Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and awaygamespodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you have questions, you want us to talk about anything in the last few episodes we have before, thankfully, the season starts. Thanks, everybody.